Welcome back, everybody. Today we are joined by George, who is the CEO and co-founder of Sushi Data. So welcome to the podcast, George. Maybe you can start by telling us just a little bit about Sushi Data and what you guys do there.
Sushi Data is crisis intelligence for marketing teams. What we do is we help you detect the truly bad things that people are saying about you. We notify you so that you can do something about it.
Awesome. I love it. Simple explanation makes a lot of sense. And what was the reason to create this kind of solution? Did you see a gap in the market? Was it a problem that you experienced personally, or what did that look like?
First of all, we realize that people are still using spreadsheets to handle all of their feedback. And it's a very disjointed process. They find the feedback in the wild. They put it on Slack. They scramble around, like, who is this person? Why did they say this? And they kind of do their own research as to how much impact this specific particular tweet has on their business. And I've heard that sometimes it happens 5 times a day in some organizations that we're talking to. We know that this process is very old and disjointed. They're trying to use automation tools like NAN that might fall flat at the end of the day. And that's why we saw an opportunity here to be able to automate that entire process for marketing teams so that they can just plug it in and reap the benefits of getting notified of us, Sushi Data, looking through the entire history, that entire user journey per user, and determining whether that particular person will have greater impact than you think on your business. Cancel culture is in the rise. You have people being very vocal about their experiences online. You have enterprise companies scrambling to jump into these threads and make things better. Having a tool like ours is suddenly not a nice to have anymore. It's a must. That's why we built Sushi Data, because we want to seize that opportunity and help businesses understand that this is no longer something that you should consider. This is something that you should actively be doing and be proactively engaging these people and protecting your reputation online.
I guess it makes a lot of sense. Everybody has a voice now, and somebody with no following can go crazy viral overnight, even on Twitter and places like this. Every platform's algorithm feels like it's trending that way. And I've seen tweets go viral from someone who's got 500 followers, and it bring a company to their knees.
Absolutely.
Off the top of your head, what has been some of the biggest examples of this that you've sort of been privy to or seen, and they didn't have Sushi Data, and they maybe weren't able to do the sentiment analysis?
I mean, I'll give you an example of someone that got that viral exposure overnight. Actually, my girlfriend, she is a content creator on YouTube. And she puts content out there. She's always recording and things of that sort. It's about food. It's about her life. And she recently traveled to California to visit me. During that time, her luggage was broken by, I believe it was Delta Airlines. And she made a video. She cut it. She's like, Delta, what did you do to this? Look at me. And it was like her luggage. And it was like missing a leg. It's missing the thing that you grab it on the sides. And it was there for maybe a week or two of getting 1 or 2 likes, 3 likes. Well, just yesterday, her post went viral on TikTok. And now I think she got like maybe 5,000 or 10,000 views and comments, and she gained 20 followers. It would just happen so fast. Right? And it was thanks to that video that she made about Delta. I mean, imagine this. It's like a one to many. You have one person talking about your business and how you messed up, and now 20, 100, 1,000 other people now saw that thing. And now they might be afraid of using Delta because you guys are going to break their luggage. That's just one example of how someone that isn't big like Jake Paul and that still manages to have that impact in social media. That's one example. We have seen more extreme examples of, I'm not going to name this company, but it's a top 500 company. There are people that go on Reddit and they say, like, you charged me 3 times more than what we agreed on our enterprise contract. This is outrageous. I'm leaving. And that post got thousands of views, thousands of comments, and ultimately ended up with the CTO going directly into that post and trying to make things better. This happens at very different levels of social media. It happens for people that are small. It happens for people that are paying you and a lot of money. Those are just some instances of what we've seen in the wild.
How are you using AI to sort of gather all of this sentiment and put it into an easy to digest format for a client?
What we do is you sign up for Sushi Data. We give you a grid of integrations that you can click into. You can click on Discord. It takes 30 seconds to activate Sushi Data on your Discord. So if you have a Discord that is very active and you want to understand in what people are saying, you just take 30 seconds, click on Discord, connect, select the channels you want to watch, and that's it. We do the auto categorization for you. We do the trend analysis for you. And ultimately, we send you a weekly report on that data. Now, if you wanted to do that for Twitter, wanted to do that for Slack, you can do that for Discourse. The sources are many, but they're all self-serve and they're all like easy to set up on your own. We don't really require you to learn how to code or anything like that.
And are these channels analyzing the sentiment only on channels that you own, or is it like looking at Reddit pages and corners of the internet that there might be a problem brewing, your girlfriend posting something on TikTok and a bunch of people commenting and mentioning that?
Absolutely. There's two ways of getting the data. One, you integrate it into something like Discord, and anything that people say just gets sent to us and we analyze it. We extract sentiment, as you mentioned. The other one is you can do a search on Sushi Data. It's quite literally a search on our website. There's actually a page that shows this. It's actually the collect and detect. If you go to sushidata.com and you click on that second item, you'll see what that search looks like. But it's essentially, you just type in, I want to find issues with gong.io, or I want to know what bad reviews Fogo de Chao in San Francisco has. And then the search kicks in a workflow, an agentic workflow that goes in, fetches that information, grabs it, and then ends up analyzing it. We analyze every single review on G2. We analyze every single review on Trustpilot.
Wow.
There's so many other ones. There's so many other, like Capterra for software as a service. We tap into all of those areas. We extract those comments. We save them into your data space. This is what makes us different from ChatGPT and Perplexity. They let you find things on the web, they return you some sources, and they give you a response. We go way beyond that because we let you save each individual comment as a data point that then you can use it for your own purposes for a deeper analysis, if you will.
I don't know why, but I didn't even think of that. Like as a marketer, Reddit posts and especially reviews, Trustpilot, they're more revealing about the problems that the company might have or the problems with the product and how to solve it and the sentiment. I didn't even think about that, how important it is. And it's so painful to go through all of the reviews, especially if there's thousands of them, and understand the sentiment. And AI is not really very good at that, or at least ChatGPT Perplexity is not very good at that. And I can see a massive use case for Sushi Data now. I'm just having that like aha moment. This is something that I would benefit from greatly with clients when I'm doing tons of research and trying to gather sentiment and like, how can we position your offer better to solve the problems that the customers have? Well, we look at the reviews. That's sort of step number 1 or 2.
Now with tools like Sushi Data, you may not use them, but your competitor might, and they might point it at you. And what we've seen is that in some of these posts, when they go viral, these negative posts, when they go viral, you have people going in there and saying like, hey, you should use X, you should use Y, or you should use Z. Sometimes you might have competitors actually coming in and actively poach your customers if you're not proactive about it. But why let them do it when it could be you doing that to them? You know what I'm saying? It's just some of the things that that now I see in the industry that are evolving. Like people are a lot more proactive and seizing these opportunities to increase their growth at the end of the day.
Makes a lot of sense. George, I want to hear a little bit about going from Google. You worked there for 7 years in the UX space, and now to founding your own company. What was the shift like, and how was that transition for you personally?
7 years at Google is a long time. I work with a wonderful, amazing, super smart group of people there. Learn everything that I know about UX engineering and best practices. I built the homepage for cloud.google.com with my good team member. I also pioneered the integration of their chatbot on the contact sales form. I integrated that with Salesforce. It was for sales and support, but I was always exposed, thanks to my boss. He always exposed me to projects that I cared about. And the projects that I cared about were about chatbots, were about like NLP and conversational interfaces. I kind of like really specialized on that. And there was a point in where I realized that I had been there for a long time, that I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, that I've always like done side projects, and crypto was booming. It felt like the right decision for me to just say, I think I want to pursue this thing in crypto, and I want to grow my skills there, and I want to see what I can do, in the world, right? I was one of the first people to build a Web3 product inside of Google, or at least a prototype using the Hedera hash graph, made a lot of connections in that front, and then decided to make the leap. We originally made a company called ChainFuse, and it was no code deployables for Web3. We would let you deploy your own token on the blockchain and put it to use, embedded a widget on your website so that people could buy it there on MetaMask. It was tough because Web3 is hard to use. You have to install MetaMask and you got to do all of these things in order for it to work. So we didn't gain enough traction there, and we ended up pivoting to AI because in one of our solutions, we had a little tiny AI widget embedded on the page that we were showing. It was an events page. We attach an NFT to an event and then you can buy it. It's just like a ticket. But in that page, we had a widget that would let you chat with an AI and ask anything about the event. When we would show that to people, they were more interested in that little thing than anything that we were doing on that page. Then I looked to my co-founder, Victor. Hey, man, I mean, this Web3 thing is not working out. It's really hard. I think we should pivot. And we ended up pivoting to AI. And the first thing that we understood is that there's a lot of text that goes into these things. There's a lot of data, sentiment, and all of these things that go into that input box. So why don't we, instead of just talking about something, why don't we make it analyze what that something is, correlate it to the user, and understand the correlations between all that data? And we ended up becoming, we ended up joining Cloudflare Workers Launchpad, which is a really cool program that they have. We got accepted into that. We saw that Cloudflare had a similar issue managing all the feedback. It's a lot of data coming in, somewhat disorganized kind of process. We realized that this is an opportunity. We should narrow down on that. And ever since, it's been much better. We're getting more traction. It's a problem that people have every day. And, we're starting to understand that just now the tools to solve that problem are coming out and they're now becoming accessible. And unstructured data, as you know, it's 80%, maybe even more of all the data out there. And we make use of pretty much none of it. Now that LLMs are coming out, and now that you have things like Sushi Data, you can just point the gun at it and then extract everything, analyze everything, and put it to use. That's kind of like a little bit of our journey from Google to crypto to where we are now. But, we were just learning how to understand the data at scale, really, at the end of the day.
I love that. I love that story. When you were talking about Sushi Data, I was thinking to myself, standing sentiment could give you an edge in trading in crypto or stock market, forex market, whatever. And it's interesting to hear that that was the inception of Sushi Data. And it sounds like you created a pump fund before pump fund was a thing. I don't know if you've been following, but
No, I've never heard of pump fund. No.
They're like the most valuable Web3 company in existence or something. They make $4 million a day helping just people launch tokens on the Solana blockchain. And it just
incredible.
It sounds like you guys were first way back in the last cycle.
It was no code. You put in the amount of tokens that you want to launch and then
that's what they do.
Percentage. It's crazy. Well, good for them. I'm glad they made it. Sometimes it's that one picture, like you picking for the diamond and then you're maybe right there, but you just don't swing one last time. And I honestly learned what I needed to learn from the industry.
It's an anomaly. What do you think have been some of the biggest challenges that you've faced building Sushi Data, maybe over the last 12 months?
There is a lot that you can do with data. You can find lead gen, you can find feedback, you can find critical things. There's a lot that you can do with it, and narrowing down on a specific ICP. Just like Clay has a very similar story to ours. They had a very horizontal tool. They kept coming back to the same place as we did. And we ended up realizing that, okay, out of all these things that we can do, which ones are the ones that bring the most impact? And that's why we narrow down on crisis intelligence, because everybody cares about the negative things. When we talk to businesses, they're like, yeah, I know my food is good. I know I'm doing well, but like, where am I messing up? Everybody wants to know where they're messing up. Why? They want to know where they're messing up because it impacts their bottom line. It impacts their growth. We decided to focus on the really negative things. Focus on finding when someone is being a very bad person to one of your customers, and then that customer goes online and then they voice it. We detect those things. We'll let you know so that you can jump on it and do something about it. But that's how we ended up narrowing down into our ICP. Our ICPs are people that have a manual process of collecting feedback. Our ICPs are people that care about the feedback, but they don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to do research about the person and then reach out to them. Our ICPs are people that know the value of answering every single comment. Did you know that businesses that answer all of their reviews make 35% more revenue on average than those that do not? Being
No, wow.
proactive with that data, jumping into that comment as soon as it's posted, is going to pay off. And that's really why we're focused on that particular ICP.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And how are you acquiring these types of ICPs? How do people know that you exist?
I'm posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We are reaching out to people. We're also using tools like Siften to listen to keywords. So for example, marketing data in one place or like marketing automation. We're listening to those things and we're going into the subreddits and we're like, hey, can you tell us more about this? We try not to sell to people in that aspect, right? We try to just have a conversation with them. We try to really understand if they're part of our ICP. If they
Yeah.
are, it falls in place. It's like a puzzle piece. They're like, oh, I totally need this. Let's do this. But if we have to force something or if we have to convince people that they should care, they're not for us. We're actively having conversations on LinkedIn. We're actually cold outreach, all of these things, keyword listening. And we
Mhm.
just go up to them and we're like, hey, can you tell me more about your problem? Can you tell me more about what you need? And just learn from them. Get some of that like initial reaction. And only if it makes sense, be like, hey, we would love to pilot with you. This is the problem that you've come to tell me that you have.
Uh-huh.
Here's Sushi Data. Can you type in that query inside of the search and see if that fixes your problem or if that takes you forward into fixing that problem? But that's how we're doing it.
And what has your experience been with outreach? You mentioned you do a little bit of outreach, some LinkedIn posting and some content stuff, but also some outreach. How has that performed for you?
Cold outreach has not been as effective. It comes down to messaging. And our previous outreach it was more on that horizontal aspect of the tool. We hadn't narrowed down to this specific use case. We've now changed the wording and we're now starting to adjust our outreach. It's better. It's getting better. People are answering us, people are jumping on calls with us because our messaging is different. But in the past, cold outreach and Apollo and things of that sort, they haven't bear so much fruit. And it's obviously our
100%.
fault. It's just that comes down to messaging and really targeting those people that care.
That makes a lot of sense. I find that when messaging the offer is the most important thing, when I speak to people, they're like, yeah, we need more leads. And I'm like, but let's focus over here and let's get clear on what we're offering them and then what problems that
Yeah.
they have. And they're like, push that aside. I'm glad that's something you guys are focusing on. Then finally, George, a question that I really like to ask founders, because I'm always get interesting takes. Let's say that you had a magic wand and we could wave it over one big problem right now and we could solve it like that. What would that big problem be right now and why?
I would like to visualize all of the unstructured data on the web. And what that looks like, it's if I go on Google and I'm like, FedEx issues sushi data, I want to see
Yeah.
a page that is about FedEx, full of a list of things that FedEx has that is probably doing right or doing wrong. Probably going to see a lot of people complaining about stolen packages or packages not being delivered or them not knocking on the door or ringing the bell. If I could move that magic wand and do something with it, I would 100% visualize all the unstructured data on the web because there's just so much richness there, so much impact that anyone could use for their business or for their research or for their school, whatever it is. There's just so much that
Mm-hmm.
isn't visualized, that isn't surfaced just yet, but I think it will eventually. I think there will be companies like us, right? We're going to have a public version of our application eventually to visualize things
Yeah.
that we care about. But that's what I would do. I would do that. I would definitely want to see all that information visualized.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like an exciting future. And what did you say? 81% of all the data is unstructured.
80% plus is unstructured on the web.
That's crazy. There's so much potential there. And hopefully AI and you guys can do something to make that all easier for us and structure it. I love to see that. But look, George, that's kind of the time for today. I really appreciate the insights. I think you mentioned a couple of things I've never heard before. I've never spoken to somebody in this niche. Always good to see what you guys are doing. Website is fantastic. Love what you guys are doing. Had that aha moment. I could see that there's a massive need for something like this. If people are listening and they want to check you guys out, or maybe they want to connect with you, where can they go and how can they connect?
Find me on LinkedIn. Send me an email at george@sushidata.com. Always happy to have a conversation.
Perfect. I'll make sure to leave links in the description. But thank you again, George, for your time. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Jordan. Bye-bye.